The evening began innocently enough, a casual dinner with friends and coworkers. Laughter flowed across the table, glasses chimed, and stories were shared. My husband, Daniel, had never been the type to dominate a room. He was quiet, steady, preferring to listen rather than dive into every conversation. I used to love that about him, his calm, grounded nature. But somewhere along the way, I started confusing his quiet for weakness. That night, surrounded by people I wanted to impress, I made the biggest mistake of our marriage. Daniel had just told a small story about misplacing his keys that morning and blaming the cat. It was harmless, funny even, but instead of laughing with him, I turned him into the joke. "You should have seen him," I said, smirking as everyone leaned in. "He turned the house upside down and accused the cat of stealing. He's such a mess sometimes." People laughed, and feeling their amusement, I continued. I mimicked his frustrated tone, exaggerated his gestures, even teased about how he couldn't survive a day without me. The laughter grew, as did my confidence. Daniel sat there quietly, smiling politely, but his eyes weren't smiling. A few coworkers joined in, making light teasing comments about helpless husbands. Even my best friend Mia chuckled. "Every man needs supervision," she said. I laughed along, feeling powerful, like I was finally commanding the room. But I didn't realize that each joke was chipping away at something invisible yet sacred: his dignity. When the laughter finally subsided, Daniel raised his glass, his calm smile intact. "You're right, honey," he said softly. "I do need supervision, especially while managing 3 companies and making sure the roof over our heads stays in place." The room fell silent. His words weren't angry, just factual, but they hit me like a hammer. My smile froze. The coworkers glanced at each other awkwardly. One whispered, "Wait, 3 companies?" I swallowed hard, mind racing. Daniel had never bragged about his work. I knew he ran a business, yes, but 3? That realization killed my laughter instantly. He continued, still calm, cutting through the room. "Funny how people assume quiet means clueless, but sometimes quiet simply means focused." No one spoke. Even the waiter nearby paused, pretending to check another table. Daniel sipped his drink slowly, then looked me directly in the eyes. "You've always loved making people laugh, Emily," he said gently. "I just wish it didn't have to be at my expense." His words weren't loud, yet they pierced me like ice. My cheeks burned, my throat went dry, and my heart sank. All the attention I had craved moments before now felt suffocating. I forced a laugh, attempting to brush it off, but no one joined in. For the rest of the dinner, tension lingered. The room felt awkward. People avoided eye contact. Every time Daniel spoke, everyone listened, really listened. I sat there, silent, drowning in regret. I wasn't just embarrassed, I was ashamed. I had humiliated the one person who had never made me feel small. And when I looked at him, truly looked, I saw the exhaustion etched on his face. Not anger, not resentment, just quiet resignation. That hurt far more than any insult could. When we returned home, silence filled the house. I tried to speak, but my words stumbled. "Dan, I was just joking. I didn't mean." He cut me off, still calm. "I know. But sometimes what we don't mean says more than what we do." He walked past me into the bedroom, leaving me alone in the living room, surrounded by guilt. I sat on the couch, tears stinging, replaying the night over and over, my laughter, his expression, the one sentence that had frozen the entire room. Days passed, and the tension hung between us like thick fog. I apologized repeatedly, but Daniel became distant, polite, yet detached. He still went to work and came home, but something was gone. The trust, warmth, and quiet comfort we once shared had vanished. He wasn't cruel or cold, just unreachable. I realized then that sometimes silence doesn't signify peace. It comes from wounds too deep for words. Weeks later, my best friend Mia called, still embarrassed about the dinner. "Emily," she said softly, "I had no idea Daniel was that accomplished. You're lucky. He's one of the good ones." She was right, and I hated that it took public humiliation for me to notice. I started small, cooking his favorite meals, leaving notes, choosing words carefully. Gradually he softened, but I never forgot that night. It taught me something painful yet vital. Respect isn't just private. It's how you treat someone when the world is watching. Now every time I look at Daniel, I remember that quiet moment at the dinner table. His calm voice, steady gaze, and that one sentence that humbled me. Sometimes quiet just means focused. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't insult me. He simply reminded me of something far greater. Strength doesn't always shout. Sometimes it just refuses to stoop. That night, he didn't just silence me. He showed me the power of grace and self-respect.